Hello, this is Brother Timothy Earl Hoskins coming to you from the Lord's House of Prayer in Jackson, Tennessee. Um, this will be my next video. I meant to put this up yesterday. I didn't feel well. I had a really lot of sinus and congestion and stuff, and couldn't speak really well. Just felt really weak, so I didn't put it up. So I'm going to put it up today. It's a day late. Hope everyone had a wonderful Sabbath. Hope you stayed in your prayers and in your reading and in your studying. And what I'm going to put up is kind of in response to what happened to this church shooting in Charleston, South Carolina. And again, it's just a terrible, terrible tragedy, and I don't understand. I do. No, I believe I know why this is happening, and I kind of want to touch on that in the video today. It's my take on it, and what I believe is happening to people. And I believe it is a combination of the fact that God has been taken out of so many aspects of society. I can remember when we used to pray in school, recite the Pledge of Allegiance every day. And now you've got people suing to even take the Pledge of Allegiance out of schools, prayers out of schools. You can't bring a Bible to school. If they do, they want to send you home and say there's something wrong with the kids or the parents for sending them a Bible to school. It's got so bad that in some places, Mormons, not Mormons, but the Gideons can't even put Bibles in hotels anymore. And when God is removed from society, whatever aspect it is, if it's in the schools, if it's in having a prayer before you start a government meeting or a council meeting or whatever it may be, people are suing over this stuff, saying it's a violation of church and state, which it's not, but they are. And of course, people don't want to fight it because they don't want to spend the money to fight the court cases, which they would win if they fought, but they don't want to spend the money. And that's why these things are being ruled unconstitutional or being ruled wrong. When God is taken out of our society, and people don't have God to look to or His Word to look to find answers, they're looking to the world. And the world is evil and has a great hatred for God. And you've heard me say this in some other videos. And people are hearing all of these different, or listening to all these different people, whoever it is, and getting these ideas in their heads and their heart about somebody is abusing somebody, or somebody is the reason I'm in the position I'm in. Don't have the money I have, don't have the car I have, I'm not living where I want to, don't have the job I have. It's somebody else's fault all the time. Somebody else is keeping them down, and somebody else is causing it. Whether it's in the case of this guy in South Carolina who believed in white supremacist views and thought it was the African American individuals that were keeping him down and were trying to take over the country, and some of the other just lies that he told that he believed in. And or whether it's on the other side where a lot of liberal leaders and in the African American community blame white people for all their ills. And people latch on to that, and it becomes a hatred in them. It becomes just like a red hot flame burning in them, and they got to have some outlet for it. And the problem with that is there's no forgiveness in people's hearts for anything. And I'm going to read some scriptures about that. And my contention is that with God being taken out of so much of society, evil is taking its place. And people are looking to the world, and they're looking to men, women, organizations to find answers, and they're feeding them a bunch of lies. And it's festering up a hatred in them, and they don't forgive people. The individual that shot these 9 innocent people just praying in a church or doing a Bible study in a church. Said it was because black people were raping our women and taking over the country. Well, if he would have had forgiveness in his heart for that, even if he believed it, he never would have went to the point of doing what he did, taking that action. And when you forgive something, whether it's something that actually has happened or something that you perceive has happened, if you have forgiveness in your heart for it, then you release that to God, and it's no longer something that's burning a hole in you. I'm going to read some scriptures here. In Matthew 6:12 and 15, talking about forgiveness. And again, this is part of the Lord's Prayer. Y'all all know this. And he says, "And forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the glory and the power forever. Amen. For if ye forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses." Mark 11:25 and 26. "And when you stand praying, forgive, if you have aught against any, that your Father also, which is in heaven, may forgive your trespasses. But if you do not forgive, neither will your Father, which is in heaven, forgive your trespasses." So it talks about forgiving people. And you've heard me say it before, that don't mean that you even like the person you forgive. It doesn't mean you have to get along with them. It doesn't mean you have to be friends with them. It doesn't mean you have to hang around them. But when you forgive that, it takes that vengeance away from you that you seek on them. And it actually is more a help to you than it is to that person. You don't condone what they did, whether real or imagined. You don't maybe not even forget it. You keep it in as a lesson learned or an experience that you've gained from this, or wisdom that you've gained from whatever happened. And so that's real important. I think this has happened. If you go back and look at all of these mass shootings, or even just individual acts of violence where one person is murdered, or one person is beat up, or one person is hurt, a lot of this, if it was just forgiveness in people's hearts, never would have happened. It seems that these individuals, that they have mental issues. And again, I think it comes from the fact that they don't know where to turn to get their help. They don't know where to turn to leave their problems. They don't know who to turn to come to peace in their own heart. And this evil takes hold of them, and they've got this vengeance and hatred for people, and the evil comes out. And we can get, I'm not going to get into debate on anybody over gun control. I just say this: I believe people ought to be able to own guns without any. There shouldn't be any restrictions on that, as long as you haven't committed a felony or you're in a sound mind. People, if they just. Would it have made any difference to anybody if he would have waited till they come out of the church and run over them with a car, or built a pipe bomb and set it in the church and blew the church up? The evil, you got to address the evil and the violence aspect of it. Or if you don't, you may get rid of the gun, or you may get rid of the knives or the ball bat or whatever he would use, but you're still going to have the violence. We got to address the violence part of it. And I really believe that it's an absence of God in society, or a continued decline of God in society that's being pushed by a lot of atheist groups and liberal groups, and the fact that these individuals, since they don't know God, they don't know where to, they don't know how to have the forgiveness for people, whether somebody's actually did something to them intentionally, or whether they perceive it, or whether they're listening to somebody else tell them, this group of people has did this to you, you need to take care of it. If you had the forgiveness in your heart, you wouldn't do it, or they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't be as apt to do it. And I'm sure there's just people that have issues, mental problems, maybe on some kind of antidepressants or things that are messing with the chemical balances in their brain. That may be another issue that we need to look at. But I'm going to read in Romans. Well, actually, I want to read this first in Luke 23:34, and this is what Christ said when he was being crucified. Then said Jesus, Yeshua the Messiah, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And they parted his raiment and cast lots. Christ was being crucified, and he asked God to forgive the people that were doing it to him. And we need to do more of this in society instead of holding that hatred for people and allowing an evil and a vengeance to well up in us and burn us up till we got to take some violent action. We need to learn to forgive if somebody has wronged us, whether it's like I said, whether it's something that actually did happen or whether it's something you perceived happened. Now I'm going to finish up and I'm going to read Romans chapter 12, verse 17 through 21. And I want you to think about this right here because I really like these scriptures. Again, Romans 12, 17 through 21. Recompense to no man evil for evil. Provide things honest in the sight of all men. If it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourself, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, Vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Therefore, if thine enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For in so doing thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head. Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. And I believe this is something that's happened in Charleston. We didn't see any riots. We didn't see any protests. We didn't see any burning of buildings. We didn't see any vengeance being taken and other people being killed for what had happened. We seen prayer. We seen people holding hands and coming together. Overcome evil with good, and that's what happened. And you contrast that with what happened in Baltimore or what happened in Ferguson, all of the rioting, all the burning of buildings. Again, another case of no forgiveness in people's hearts, wanting to exact vengeance and exact and right a perceived injustice on community or on society, when all they had to do was have forgiveness in their heart and let the system that we have in place work itself out. That's what we're doing in Charleston. And you see how things are better, and that gives you hope for this country and for this world when you see things like that. Again, put God first in your life. Pray, read, study. Get as close to God as you can. He'll protect you. He'll help you. If you can, forgive people, not for their sake, but for your sake, so it doesn't become between you and God. Pray for them that God will change their hearts. That's how we need to handle this. Pray for those families of those people that were killed. Pray for this young man who has obvious a lot of issues and problems. Pray that we have peace. Pray that people will continually come together. Pray for our country. Pray for our leaders. Pray for the nation of Israel. Keep your eye on Jerusalem. This is Brother Timothy Earl Hoskins, and this is the Lord's House of Prayer. Thank you, and God bless.